It was a chilly autumn evening in Chicago. The wind whistled through the streets, carrying the distant sounds of traffic and the occasional bark of a dog. Daniel Ross, 35, walked slowly toward his apartment building, hands buried in his coat pockets. The day had been long. Another exhausting day at the architecture firm, but it wasn't just fatigue that weighed on him. 2 years ago, he had lost his younger brother, Michael. Since then, life had felt hollow. Friends seemed distant, laughter had disappeared, and even work that once brought him joy now felt meaningless. Daniel's eyes fell on a faint movement near the streetlight. Sitting quietly was a dog. It was small to medium-sized, its fur matted and dirty, its thin body trembling slightly in the wind. But what caught Daniel's attention wasn't its condition. It was its eyes. Deep brown, almost human in their expression, staring straight at him. Daniel tried to ignore it. He walked faster. But the soft sounds behind him told him otherwise. The dog was following him. "Go away," Daniel whispered softly. The dog did not move. It followed, all the way to his apartment. Daniel paused at his door, looking down the empty street. The dog sat on the sidewalk, patient and silent, its gaze never leaving him. That night, Daniel could not sleep. He thought of the dog, alone, yet somehow familiar. A small warmth stirred in his chest that he hadn't felt in years. The next morning, Daniel opened his apartment door and froze. There was the dog, waiting. It had spent the night outside, enduring the cold, the wind, and the distant traffic just for him. Daniel felt a pang of emotion he couldn't ignore. Slowly, he brought out a small bowl of water and some bread. The dog ate carefully, slowly, savoring each bite. Daniel watched. There was intelligence in its eyes, an awareness, a quiet loyalty that touched him deeply. From that moment, Daniel knew he could not simply turn the dog away. He named him Shadow, because wherever Daniel went, Shadow followed. Days passed, and Shadow became a constant presence. Every morning he would appear at the same street corner, waiting for Daniel. Every evening he would follow him back home. Rain or shine, Shadow's loyalty never faltered. Daniel began to talk to him, first softly, then more openly. He shared his grief, his regrets, and even his small joys. For the first time in 2 years, he felt a connection again. Shadow didn't just follow him. He listened, he understood, he comforted. One afternoon, Daniel noticed a strange behavior. Shadow was restless, pacing, and growling toward an old abandoned warehouse nearby. Daniel had never been inside, but Shadow seemed insistent. Curious and slightly apprehensive, Daniel followed him. Shadow stopped at the entrance and looked at Daniel, eyes wide and expectant. Inside the dusty warehouse, Daniel's attention was drawn to a worn wooden box. He opened it slowly. Inside were old photographs and letters. One photograph in particular stopped his breath. It was Michael, and beside him, Shadow. Daniel's hand shook as he held the photo. The realization hit him hard. Shadow was not a random stray. Shadow had belonged to Michael. And somehow, against all odds, he had found his way to Daniel. Daniel brought Shadow inside his apartment. He cleaned him, fed him properly, and gave him a warm place to sleep. Yet, even in the comfort of Daniel's home, Shadow remained vigilant, as if protecting more than just a house. He was guarding memories, love, and a connection that transcended years. Days turned into weeks, and the bond grew stronger. Shadow followed Daniel everywhere. He became his companion, his confidant, and his reason to smile again. Daniel began to notice subtle reminders of his brother and Shadow's behavior. Certain gestures, playful quirks, and even the way he nuzzled Daniel seemed eerily familiar. Shadow was more than a pet. He was a living link to the brother he had lost. Months passed, and Daniel and Shadow shared countless moments. Walks in the park, quiet evenings at home, even trips to the old neighborhood where Michael had grown up. Shadow's loyalty never wavered. One rainy evening, Daniel returned home late from work. Shadow waited at the corner, soaked but standing firm. He ran to Daniel as soon as he saw him, shaking off the rain, but refusing to leave his side. Daniel knelt down, hugged him, and whispered, "I don't know how you found me, Shadow, but thank you." The truth was simple, yet profound. Shadow had waited, followed, and found him. Not by chance, but by loyalty, love, and an unspoken bond that transcended human understanding. Shadow taught Daniel more than companionship. He taught him about loyalty, love, and patience. Some connections, the kind that touch your soul, are never broken. Even after loss, even after years of separation, love finds its way back. Shadow's presence reminded Daniel to cherish relationships, to be kind, and to never underestimate the power of devotion. The dog had not only followed him home, he had followed him into the depths of his heart. Daniel's life changed forever because the stray dog refused to leave. Shadow gave him hope, joy, and the reminder that even in loneliness, one can find connection in the most unexpected places. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe, and comment below. What kind of stories do you enjoy the most? Emotional dog stories? Heartwarming real-life stories? Mystery or suspense stories? Your suggestions can inspire our next video. Because every story carries a lesson, and sometimes it carries a piece of your heart.